Greetings, it is I, Tantus Naravan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue our discussion on Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, the second edition of AD&D. Where we last left off, we have of course been diving into combat wholeheartedly. Let's talk about special types of damage you can take. Let's begin with falling, because that's something that seems to happen to PCs more often than they'd like to admit. Falling is something that is the most dangerous hazard to most PCs because at some point in time, you're going to fall off of something. And the fact is, it's not the fact that you are falling, it's the abrupt stop at the end, which tends to be the problem with them. So it's not the fall that'll kill you. It's actually very accurate. Now, to figure out how much damage you're actually going to take from this fall, you will take 1d6 points of damage per 10 feet you fall to a maximum of 20d6. This is supposed to represent terminal velocity. There is no real science or math to this. It is a set number representing the amount of damage you can take at maximum. The point of this is not to dive into the physics of what's going on here, but to make it seem like there's always a chance of survival. There are stories of those that have fallen from ridiculous heights and lived, some with injury, some without injury, depending on the heights. So theoretically, you could get all 21s and somehow survive if you're like a third level character and have enough hit points. It can happen. Now you can also get paralyzed. Paralyzed effectively means your just basic motor functions do not work. It doesn't prevent you from thinking, breathing, blinking, any sort of thing like that. So you're vastly aware of what's going on around you. It's just you cannot move and react to it. If you have some kind of ability that's activated by thought, you can activate it just fine. You can think all you want, and it's not the paralysis that's going to kill you, because as I said, your main functions of your body, they still work. It's just your ability to actually move around. So you're kind of stiff and stuck, paralyzed. It's everything else that might occur to you as a result of this occurring that will probably kill you. Now another deadly one is energy drain. This is oftentimes caused by undead or very nasty monsters. It means effectively it makes you lose levels. Yeah, makes you lose levels. So, a monster will of course damage you. It'll do its damage as normal, and if it successfully hits you and it has energy drain, you're going to lose one or more levels. For each level that you lose, you look at what your hit dice is, you roll it, and whatever amount you have rolled, you subtract from your hit dice total. So effectively, you roll away the level you just had. Now, if you had any constitution bonuses based upon that hit dice, you'd get rid of that too. Now, if it was a set number that you received at that level, then you're going to lose that set number. It's going to be based upon whatever level you had last. And when we're talking about losing levels, of course, it's the maximum one you have. But if you're multi-classing or dual-classing, it's going to be your highest level, or it's going to be whatever level requires the most experience points. When you are reduced that level, you find yourself halfway in between when you would have first gained the last level you had, and halfway up to the next one. So right in the middle. So if you were, let's say, level 4, you're dropped to level 3, and you're halfway from after you leveled 3 and halfway up to leveling 4. Right in the middle. When you lose that level, you lose all abilities associated with that level. If you had spells, you instantly forget spells equivalent to whatever slots you would have lost, whatever extra spells you could have memorized. If you have spells in your spell book that are higher level than now you could cast, you forget how to use those. Should you regain that level, you can attempt to learn them again and basically interpret them, but effectively they're like dead space within your spellbook. Now, if you're ever reduced to level 0, and you have still some hit points left over, you're level 0 commoner then. Your adventuring career is over. You cannot gain experience again. Now there's ways of overcoming this. Restoration and Wish will allow you to gain experience again, but other than that, no, you're just a level 0. Once a level 0 takes damage, they die instantly. Or if you're reduced to 0 hit points by this, you die instantly. In 2d4 days, you will rise up as an example of the undead which killed you with level drain. At this point in time, you will have half of your original class levels. So if you were level 4, you'd be a level 2 whatever it would be, and you'd be under the control of the one that killed you, your master. Should that master ever be killed, well, then you become a free, and you go and feed upon other creatures, and every negative level you do basically gives you another class level or hit dice until you reach whatever appropriate maximum is for your type of undead, and then you're free to create your own minions and energy drain them into new creatures too. Once you're in this form, you also hate your former adventure companions. They failed to save you. Murdering them would be very good. So yeah, you're an NPC at this point in time. That's for sure. Now there are ways, described under each individual undead, to prevent your former murdered comrades from rising as one of these undead. You can learn and take steps in order to prevent this from happening, but you have to know those steps. So good luck there. Alright, poison. Poison is the other thing, other than falling, which players are going to hit a lot. A lot of things are poison, whether they have poison stings, bites, claws. Poison goes around a lot, and it's something you're going to encounter very often. The strength of said poison varies greatly, and the fact is a lot of people underestimate how deadly poison can actually be. Poison comes in 3 ways that it's going to get into. Injury, which means that it's going to be part of a bite or a sting or a claw. It's trying to get in your bloodstream. Ingested, which means you're swallowing it. This is more poison than an assassin might slip you. And the worst of all, contact. It just needs to touch your skin and you're affected. That's the worst one out of all of them because it's the most versatile at murdering you. Now most poisons are divided up, which there's a chart in the book, by their class first. Class is a general description of them. It's not a name of a poison. It's your class A poison. Monsters will list whatever class is very appropriate to them or give a custom poison. Now under each class, it will tell you the type of method of delivery, whether it is, of course, injected, ingested, or contact. It'll tell you duration, how long it's going to be before said poison begins to affect you, and it will tell you its effect. The effect will be 2 numbers. Basically, the first one is the actual effect that's going to occur to you, and the second number after a slash is what will happen if you successfully save versus that poison. So you might still get an effect to you even if you save against it. You just would be very unlucky at that point in time. Some of them say death beforehand and damage afterwards. Damage still might kill you, but at least it's not death. Now, injected and ingested poison don't really do anything if you get them on your skin. But contact, if it gets in a wound, it's still contact. If you ingest it, it's still contact. So contact is the most versatile out of all of them. On the other hand, if you get ingested poison in an injection, or you ingest an injected poison, you have half the effect of what they normally would. They're a lesser effect, but they still have an effect on you because you're still getting them into your body. It's just not the way it necessarily was intended to get into your body. Now, as I said, some poisons have a death effect. If you fail your save, you're automatically reduced to 0. Granted, again, you could make your save and the poison damage should still kill you, but that's another option. There are 2 special cases of poison: paralysis and debilitation. Paralysis knocks you down and paralyzes you for 2d6 hours. It works exactly the way that I talked about paralysis before, so it can leave you in such a state that your buddies are going to have to figure out what to do with you for a good period of time. Now, the other one, of course, is debilitation. This lasts for 1d3 days. All your ability scores are halved. And any effect that having those ability scores will have are going to go into play. Changing constitution and hit points, changing your AC, changing anything related to them. You're going to be debilitated for that period of time, and you also move at half speed. And no amount of magical healing or normal healing will affect you during this time. So you can't heal naturally or magically. You're kind of in trouble at this point. So that's it for today. I introduced you to a number of special types of damage that you're going to take. From falling, which is a very common one from adventurers, to paralysis, you can't move anymore, to energy drain. You lose levels. It's one of the more brutal, the ones that you can, a little more rare fortunately, still be affected by. To poison. The other common one, which can do things from causing damage to paralyzing you to killing you. In the next episode, I'm going to finish up a little bit more information about poison and move in through the rest of the damages continuing in combat. So if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like, share, and of course subscribe. It shows your support for the channel, the Empire, and the work I do. If you want to show some extra support, you can always check out my Patreon, link in the description below. But regardless, until the next time, I bid you farewell.